Reminds me something what Sanjay Hegde had said on this podcast, that I think we were discussing Chandrachud's legacy, and he said that coalition governments tend to give us strong judiciary, and strong governments tend to give us a weak judiciary. Would that be a correct kind of assessment?
Yes, but I'll expand it.
Hmm.
It's not just a judiciary, Manisha.
Hmm.
Coalition governments give us more independent and autonomous institutions.
Hmm.
So the IB, the ED, the income tax, the civil service are not totally at the beck of call of a party with 300 or 400 MPs. Coalition governments give us a deeper play for federalism because all states are represented, not just the states where the ruling party is in power, or not just North India, which has a preponderance of seats. So coalition governments also have been the period in which we've had the most robust economic growth, but I'll leave economics out of it. But certainly, institutional integrity, independence, the press. I mean, you are all journalists. Now, I was, I don't know how old Raman is. He may be about my age, or I don't know how old you were in the emergency. I was 17. So I remember the press. I remember what happened. I was emergency. I was 17 to 19. Now, uh, after that, there was a flourishing of the press. The 80s and 90s, the press was vibrant, articulate. Now it is a few brave independent websites like yours, and may they flourish. But the press is at that again. You remember, I've talked about Indira Gandhi. I have talked about Narendra Modi. When Rajiv Gandhi had 400 MPs, he tried to curb the press quite ruthlessly too. You must remember it. So, not just the judiciary,
And
but
everyone was on
the
the streets
vital
protesting.
institutions of democracy, flourish much better under coalition.
So, Anand, quickly to you on the coalition government thing. Why, though, then have we seen such a vilification of coalition governments of late? Like, what's the psychology of it? Now there's an understanding that it's instability. If we don't have somebody with a strong mandate coming to power, it means a weak country.
And as Mr. Guha was saying, that like a strong governments, we had this idea of committed bureaucracy during Indira Gandhi's phase, and did it spill over to the idea of committed judiciary? To an extent, it did, and coalition governments, the disrepute of it in Indian voters' mind, say in the early years of 21st century, was because of two things. One is it was seen as a kind of breeding ground for horse trading and immoral politics, and parties doing different kind of manipulations, switching loyalties, and
Which we are seeing plenty of now, without coalition.
without coalition also. But then in the formation of government, and second was, of course, the later 21st century phrase came, policy paralysis. That because there are too many interests, too many ideologies and policy priorities of different parties, there is no clear policy of the government. So I think policy paralysis is not something that worries the average Indian voter. Maybe the immoral politics, or the ayaram gayaram kind of politics, that could be a campaign rallying point for national party is making a pitch for a strong government at the center, like Congress or BJP. So that was one thing. In 90s, if 90s were a classic case when coalition politics was at its peak, and Supreme Court's judgments in 90s, yes, we see a more bold judgment. Not bold, I think bold and these all things are very subjective. If you like something, then it's bold. If you don't like, then it's a timid judgment. But I think like some of the cases, like I would say on the same case, Collegium case, and the Election Commission's case, when T.N. Sesson said that it has to be a one-man commission, and Supreme Court said no, it would be a three-man commission. You would be the chief. And then other cases also, a lot of cases, something not coming to my top of my mind, but 90s, yes, to an extent. Now, the question of committed bureaucracy, what people forget is that if you read uh, P.N. Husker or even other secretaries, they have tried to say that committed bureaucracy is not something that the bunch of bureaucrats have to be committed to a particular government for all time to come, but government in power. The party in power is just an incidental thing, but the government which is. That is to say that the autonomous decision making of the bureaucrats has to be curtailed, and it was seeking more, say, prerogative for the political class or the political executive. So they have tried to, I think, whether it's a justification of but there was that there has to be a continuity in this. If even the next government is by other party, the committed video.
That's the general
So the neutrality of civil service is that. So committed judiciary, however, if the same reasoning is applied to the question of committed judiciary, it becomes problematic because it says that you have to be compliant to the executive's wish, which even here, whichever party comes to power is dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Yes, because executive is executive. So
I want to come to Raman sir. We were talking about, as Ram also said, that it is not just about the judiciary, but right from the bottom to the tops. And police is one big aspect of how it's the first actually interface for an ordinary citizen when it comes to law and order. That's your first. And like I was saying before that you have had many cases now where there's complete impunity for people who will attack a Mohammed Deepak, and when he will go and register a case, there'll be a counter FIR. In cow lynching cases also, there's an FIR on the person who's been lynched before. That what is the meat that you're carrying. In fact, there was this odious, really tragic headline from last week where these two women were arrested for cooking beef in some part in Uttar Pradesh, and then the meat was sent to forensic. I mean, this kind of thing has become so normal that the meat sample has been sent to forensic lab for testing. Even if they were eating beef, I mean, and it was a very sad picture to see. It was these two diminutive women flanked by police officers arrested because they were eating beef. This thing of the police, it has never had a good name when it comes to even in riots. You've had cases in the past where they've actively sided with the majority group. The same question as I asked to Ram about the judiciary, with you to the police, like this kind of communalization or siding with the majoritarian narrative among the police, is it new from what you've observed?
Yeah, I think as Mr. Guha said, which is even I believe in coalition politics, government politics, I think the check and balances really work better. But when there is one dominant party which comes into power, which is the case, for the past 11, 12 years, so you can very clearly see that whatever the government line is, whether the bureaucracy or the police, they are towing it, in its spirit and letter. So it say the Gorakshaks, the politicians have a sympathetic view about it, is very well known. So that is why the police hesitate to take any action against them. So similarly, you will also see, I mean, this is Delhi, but if you just step out of Delhi, go to places like Muradabad and others, Bajrang Dal, they are assisting the police.
Yeah.
And going to the court and identifying wherever there is a love jihad cases. So the Bajrang Dal and the police, they are, hand in glove, when it comes to the cases of love jihad. So I think whenever there is one dominant, especially in 2014, I have not seen in the past, so much. Of course, when the riots happened, the 1984 riots, I was a student at that time, and I had seen it. I was in Delhi. I was living in East Delhi. So I have seen that what all had happened,
Mm.
during that time. But after 2014, I think whichever party is going to come into power, non-BJP party, I think they have taken the lesson from the BJP and they'll follow the same. So the check and balances work much better in coalition politics. Uh, in one dominant party, no.
Hmm. I think this is very important what Raman said. This Bajrang Dal parallel universe, which is working like a separate law enforcement agency in tandem with the police, is actually something that a lot of people are talking about. Even in cases of, say, personal rivalry, we have had cases where, it's a property dispute with your neighbor or there's some the other issue. Bajrang Dal guys being, put on hire to create some sort of a issue and kind of trap them in some Gorakshak case or some meat eating case or whatever. And even when there have been cases of love jihad, you've seen Bajrang Dal alert the police often and say this is happening, and then they are accompanying them and doing everything. So, and this sort of thing is not reversible, I feel, because once you unleash this kind of madness and there's a tacit understanding that it can go unchecked, it cannot be in the control of any one party. I don't think it will even be in the control of Modi or Yogi or anyone else, because then it has a life of its own, as we've seen with most extreme movements. It may start off as something that politicians want to use, but then it just becomes something that no one can really control. So, your thoughts on that, Rinchen?
All right. So just two things. One about the communalization of the police, the question you had asked, Raman sir, and whether it's a whether it's a recent thing. There's a book by journalist Josy Joseph, The Silent Coup, where he sort of documents the fact that this communalization of police it's not a recent thing. It's been going on forever. He cites particular cases of torture of Muslim accused in terror cases and how the police treat them and the sort of language that is used during interrogation. So, I mean, this is not new. But what is new, however, is this whole, these, how do you call these Bajrang Dal, like non-state
actors.
non-state actors, essentially, right? So, and what you said is absolutely correct, that once the genie's out of the bottle, it's very hard to put it back in. Because, see, the police, who are the police and who are the people that make up the police? It's people like you and I who live in the same societies, same neighborhoods, same communities. So even if there's a new government that comes in, say, in UP, Haryana, or even at the center, this sort of institutionalization process that has been happening over the last 12 years, I don't know how you can undo it with the change in government.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to the Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the News Laundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that News Laundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to News Laundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.